Masonic Smoker Podcast. We're back. We got special guests here today. Nelson, Poetry Plants. Thank you for coming, Nelson.
Very welcome.
Nelson's a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a little bit over 5 years, I want to say. I met him on Instagram. One of the first dudes to hold me down through all the bullshit that Instagram has thrown at us. We hold each other down, I believe. But here we are. Let's get right into it. And I'll have you just kind of do like a background and origin story as far as who you are. Just vaguely, a bridge version, nothing too crazy. Whatever you think is worthwhile.
Yeah. I really like weed and music, and weed and music been a part of my life my whole time. So how I funded my music was by working in cannabis. We'll leave the details out.
No doubt.
And doing that in the medical market in California as well.
No doubt.
And then I kind of started to nerd out the same way I used to nerd out on the recording studio of music. And I started applying, like that same itch was getting scratched by playing around with things in the grow room,
No doubt.
you know? And like I did a bunch of really, like I just executed on a lot of really bad ideas for a long time.
Yeah.
And just fucked around enough till I think I could like help other people in some ways. So I started this consultancy and started helping people grow at a commercial level. So I've kind of been in between like both worlds in a way,
Okay.
and just like socially, culturally, and got to kind of see, have my own view on it. Now I'm just trying to apply that to things I'm working on right now.
So you would say you're a cannabis consultant?
Not really.
Well,
I mean, I've done
do you
that.
consult on cannabis?
Yeah, it's just that whole paradigm and archetype's not great. And
I mean, it has like a negative connotation, right?
yeah, and it deserves it. So,
I mean, some people made it like that, But do you still do that today? Like if somebody
yeah, I'm doing it now.
if someone has an operation and they need insight, like you're
Correct.
the guy that gets paid to do that, right?
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. I kind of put you in that box. Like he's a consultant of cannabis.
I've done that and a number of other things.
You grow weed. You fucking play music. You're a dad. You're all these.
Correct.
But like
I work with Highline Nursery.
But like if there's one main thing,
It's
like I'm a seed maker. That's what
Correct.
I identify as. That's my prime thing. That's what I'm good at. I grow pot too. I grow pot. It comes out my ears and shit.
Yeah. That
But,
should just be part of everyone's life, no matter what else they're doing to make
I think
bread.
so too,
Yeah.
right?
All right.
But I kind of like, just so people don't get like what is he? What is he? Nah, the homie fucking can show you how to get down in a room,
I enjoy like helping people out. Just people ask me questions all the time,
Cool.
So I enjoyed the conversation.
Well, I'm glad that's right, because I kind of based my theme off of that.
Oh man.
No, it's not bad. It's good. It's very,
All
very.
right.
It's very like I'm not here to fucking play games or anything. It's just nice.
No,
very nice.
you're
I mean,
fine.
I got the jar with your face on it, and it says pee pee poo poo on here. But I got you, man. All right, can you share with us your journey into the cannabis consultation field? Like, what got you into wanting to help people with their grows? Primarily, like one triggering event was like, man, I like, or like, did somebody throw money at you? Like, man, come here, like, I need you to help me.
So I had my own grows during Prop 215 with as much of the medical permitting as you could get, and then I stopped doing that in 2012, and I took a break from the industry entirely. It was like a big hard reset in my life where, the path I was on and where I was going, I was losing myself, and it came to a head. And then I went through a period where I didn't do anything to do with cannabis, and I worked for a wildlife, like a trapping company or dead animal removal, like a job, an undesirable job, but it was the only one I could get. And I did that for a while, and it was pretty successful, and I kind of enjoyed it. There was something just working with wildlife and understanding what was going on with invasive species moving into other people's territory. It creates these opportunities, like these people in Texas, they go down and they hunt all these hogs and all these kinds of things. So it was just interesting. But I came back to California, and this guy named Michael hit me up. He had was working for licenses and had a whole thing. So he used to buy weed for me on the medical market.
And which year was this?
2015.
This was like 215 type shit.
Yeah, it was 2015. So I moved back to California. I moved back to California like a year and a half later.
Okay.
So I left for a year, came back, went to Nashville for 6 months, and then came out here. And came back out here. And then within a month, people were hitting me up because there was all this opportunity going. Everyone's getting excited. So I was kind of there for that transition period where there's a lot of optimism and hope and opportunism for the legalization thing,
Yeah.
right? So that, like, I would say that comparatively, you were probably just getting into the whole thing from where the place. Where how old were you in 2014, 15?
I was probably 22, 23.
Yeah, so that was like all of a sudden all this big money comes in, and unless you get to see it, and I got to see that, like dispensaries used to sell to growers. I knew that, like Rand were like the main guy for a certain dispensary. There was a whole kind of networking grouping in LA during the Prop
So
215.
so 215, how long has that been around?
I believe 1996.
But the like the fucking like this didn't pop up here in LA till like 2015 when they started applying it and actually practicing
It took a little longer than
that
that.
protection.
There was still like some problems along the way, even though like even when it passed, there was still, it hasn't been an easy way in or out of anything.
No doubt.
So, Ivan can speak to that really well.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I came in to looking at that as an opportunity to just kind of be a part of something, and I had an opportunity to make a little bit more money. I was doing something that I missed doing anyway, and that's what began all that. And then what really put me on the map for businesses and companies, and how I got to work with like some of the, I've worked as a consultant for some of the big MSOs that were just starting up and early, and people were not totally for them, but at the same time they didn't know what they were yet. So do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, so MSOs early in like during 215, they're already trying to chip in and get a piece of the pie.
No, they came. Well, some of them started in Colorado, because you have to understand Colorado was recreational before California.
Yeah, they were. Washington too, no?
And so it was Colorado, then Washington, then California,
Yeah.
or Oregon, then California, I
Yeah,
believe.
something like that.
So it kind of did this like V pattern, and there were like Brad from 710, right? Big brand. They've been very successful. They do good work. Seen their growth, seen their garden, met their team, met their leadership, and they're great dudes, you
Yeah.
know. And
I mean,
but they
great
came,
dudes.
but he originated. His success came from Colorado.
Yeah, great dudes for sure. They were like the first people to process my hash here in like 2017.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, somebody came to my house. They're like, I know Skelly.
Did you work with Richie?
I didn't know nobody.
Oh, all right.
They just came to my house. They took my gear.
Yeah.
They brought it back as hash.
Okay.
710 Labs.
Cool.
2017.
That's dude. They want to participate in whatever people would want to try out. They're cool. It's a different vibe, but it's
So-
also from Colorado.
So you had
originally.
somebody like a year and a half. 2016 is when you started kind of
Pretty
helping
much.
people
Yeah, that's
here
right.
in LA with their growth.
Yeah, and then some of the early startups that were like their first licensed guys in LA.
Can you name any of them? Are you allowed to?
I can name one of them. It would be Greenstone.
Greenstone. Okay.
Yeah, so they had I was going to help them with their grow and be a part of the whole big picture. So basically I would help people out, and it would really just like consulting can be looked at as a way to like double dip all these bad things that people do, or just someone that's not really proficient in the field providing bad advice, right? Just not qualified.
Yeah.
And then consulting can also just be a way to like figure out if there are future strategic partnerships in other states, where it's like, hey, let's try this short-term thing and see if this works. And if it doesn't work, then it's not worth, doing. But if it does work, great, then we can talk about something larger. So I look at consulting as a way to just kind of understand these different markets, bring value to them, help people out. My main focus, I don't work with big companies anymore. So like I only pick clients that are small, so like less than 10,000 square feet. So I've reduced the cost of what it is to work with me, all this kinds of stuff, just because I think there needs to be a counterbalance as well. So it's like what I learned about MSOs being around them early on is to understand where like some other fundamental weaknesses were. And then the culture that gets created from that, and then the value that gets created that the culture sees is low. So there's some MSOs that are doing okay, I guess, but it's just got the wrong vibe.
No doubt. So you'll go to a grow that's established or brand new grow and just kind of have a like how you do shit and be like, oh no, like you guys got to do it like this. This is a better, more efficient way of doing it. That's kind of how your job.
I provide options.
Of course, they don't have to do it, but this is and it's some people are better at doing shit. Like I've learned fucking simple techniques just from like my whole life. Like I've been drying weed my whole life. I could have been freezing it,
Yeah.
like just things like that. So
Well, and it's not just me. Like there's like a loose group of people that I work with that, it might not be the right fit for me for that piece or whatever it is, and then I can bring in somebody that I know
You got a
really understands
network
that.
of
Yeah, I
other.
got a network of people that like nerd out on grow tech
Yeah.
and
Hey,
and
what's this yellow shit? Like you might know off beat, but like
yeah,
I really know who fucking
co-
knows.
correct,
And you don't, but I have this, and in a
correct,
perfect world, everybody would fucking know, but that's not the case.
correct,
And I offer that service.
and they kind of migrate around, right? Like, so there's a few guys in Sacramento that we would talk all night about problems that we were having in the grow, like whether it had to or things that we wanted to improve, um, how to push it. It wasn't just like here's a formula, let's go. There's a group of people constantly talking about how to kind of fuck around with that formula and push it, and that's what my grows became in 215 for me, and that's why it didn't work out because I stopped focusing on. I found a way that worked, right, but then I still wanted to improve it. So I built I've got pictures of these stuff. Some of them are ridiculous setups, that I look at now, but I was just kind of figuring it out. And I think everyone starts there at some sense.
Where you see you learn every day as you go. Even
That's it. It's infinite knowledge.
I mean,
Yeah.
PlayStation isn't PlayStation 1 still. It's like PlayStation 5,
Yeah.
So
It
it's like
upgrades.
it's the
Yeah.
same shit,
Yeah. For sure.
What inspired you to pursue a career in cannabis? Consultation was just the demand for it when you came back and get you a little bit more scratch, as
Yeah. And
far
it
as
was also,
compared to fucking the previous.
you also feel when you're in this industry, especially early on, there's like a sense of feeling a little bit more alive.
Yeah,
Because it's outside of the box,
yeah, no
and
doubt.
and you can be more yourself in this business, I think, and people are a little bit more welcoming to eccentricities, and that's cool. There's a lot of cool shit
Yeah,
that comes out of all
you're
of
not
that.
just another fucking person on. I mean, we get to be ourselves when we're out the door, but like when you're doled down so much, when you're at like your job where you got to cut your hair and sit in your cubicle and like conform, like that kind of like fucking sucks the life out of you. And we're in a field where they embrace that shit,
And
like
in some parts of it,
yeah,
and then in other parts of it, it's like, um, if you're running a business and you're serving customers, that's the purpose of that business. It's not to express yourself.
exactly.
So there's got to be like,
There's
the
roles.
industry, like the best grows are the ones that have like the most order,
Yep,
because they can repeat their success,
yep.
you know. And so that's what's different. That's what I would say the one disconnect is. So like as a consultant, you're in on the trying to figure out operations and you're trying to figure out how to make the business profitable so it stays alive. That's why a lot of these businesses in California failed. They lost their profitability somewhere along the line. Price points dropped, right? So understanding like why all that's going on and then talking about it, reflecting on it can help us figure out how to avoid that again and create something that's going to do better for more people.
I think quality is just key,
Yeah.
quality, and quality usually involves labor, and those are the two main things. If you can't pay for the labor, your
Yeah.
quality is going to go down, and now you got shitty product. Now your price goes down. Now you're out of business.
Yeah.
So
Everybody's got to eat.
maybe
Yeah.
just grow a tree that you could take care of. You don't need to grow the biggest tree. Just grow, and that'll actually sell, and you'll get by the tough times while everyone's trying to grow the big shit, and then you could upsize a little bit. I don't
I guess what I'm saying is that like the cannabis industry is bigger than the culture
Yeah.
because you've got all these other ancillary businesses that are required to make it work right to serve the culture the best way, and it's not working right now, but it is in certain small circles and factions. I mean, there's good product out there. I mean, that hash was phenomenal.
I
That's
see like right now there's like a collective conscience as far as what's the deemed worthy practices and shit.
yeah.
And it's kind of like I see it and I'm just like that ain't it for me.
What do you mean? So there's like a general way that people are doing things
Yeah,
for hash
and it's
production now?
brand new. Like it'll be like a brand new medium that came out in the last couple of years, and everyone just kind of abides by it.
Oh, like the
And,
trends and like
yeah,
all the products people use to put in their
that's a big
plants.
problem, I think, too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's a way that's the wheel, and it's been there forever, and it already works. And once people grab the wheel, they want to fucking put their own shiny fucking bejeweled dazzle on it too sometimes. But
Hmm.
the wheel's there. Good product's been around forever, and it's just a matter of people just doing that. Like I know how to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
we only do enough for us to smoke. We don't do enough for the world, you know.
yeah.
But
And that's fine. I
yeah.
mean, you just call like earning
The
it,
world
right?
needs Bud Light too, though. The world needs Bud Light, Budweiser, Lagunitas, Sculpin, Krug, fucking you name it. Like,
And they just don't. They just the Bud Light doesn't want to be. You don't want the Bud Light to be toxic.
yeah,
That's
that's
all.
true.
That's it.
And it
you
is
know?
whatever way you put it, though. Almost all the time. Yeah. Were there any significant mentors or events that influenced your path in cannabis?
um, yeah, for sure. I'd say probably early on, it would be, the hydro store guys.
Okay.
Those you'd meet someone that really knew what they were talking about, and then they kind of game you up on some things, and they did that willingly, openly. There was one hydro store called Better Grow Hydro, and there was, you start to meet people there and have a conversation about figuring things out. So maybe like more community based, and then found guys in that really were able to help, and then you were able to help them. So, and there's been like guys focusing on other things. Like I got a buddy named Brian that fucking started out here at the same time I did on the medical market, and now he's gone on to do all kinds of different kinds of general contracting in the cannabis space and all that. So sometimes it's like you're not the right guy to be growing the flower, but you being in a part of the business doesn't mean you can't bring value to it. So you got all these different little worlds that like people that go to the parties and all that don't touch, but they're like kind of outside creating all of it, which is, and with those people need to like matter and feel good about their job. Cause like if you got people hating their fucking jobs,
Yeah.
you're not going to get good products.
No way.
And it's hard work,
Yeah. Fucking A. Grow shops back in the day. I think I came in right at right when they were like, all right.
Like Green Coast, when Green Coast took over.
I used to go to
Yeah.
this place called Los Angeles Hydroponics. There was a
Okay.
dude named Stan. It was all the way on. It was like near Torrance, and I would go there and it was still a little hush hush, and then now it's like, here, grow weed with this,
Yeah.
Which is dope. It's dope.
It's definitely it's because all the scales going on. So
Yeah.
people are homogenizing everything.
It's crazy.
Dude, like the genetics, like I can tell you working with the nursery that, if we just had runts and lemon cherry gelato on the menu, we would be fine. We would sell out every month.
Yeah.
And it's just like the same, 4 variants of gelato.
Yep.
And people just producing a lot of gelato.
Put me in regular shoes of a dude who gets his $500
Yeah.
check every week, $1,000 check.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go R&D with this fucking money. I'm gonna go get the fucking weed that works every time. And
Yeah.
it's that one right there.
That's
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
And same thing with the producers.
That
Right?
is true.
They're
It-
not gonna go fucking R&D. This one works every
Yeah,
time. They
that's
buy
right.
it every time.
Yeah.
1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
Let's keep it pushing.
Yeah.
But-
Nothing wrong with that. I mean,
We just think the world is like all the stuff we know that everyone kind of abides by it. But nah, the average consumer, they go and they see the dispensary that's closest to their house. And they're like, I'm gonna check that place out.
yeah.
And if that place don't work, they go to the one that's a little
Yeah,
further.
they go
and
what's local and easy.
and if that place don't work, that means they give a fuck. And they're gonna go do due diligence, and now they're on Instagram. Now they found out who Cookies, Jungle Boys, and then if they want to go further down the rabbit hole, they find more like
Yeah.
more culture,
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
more culture.
But if that first dispensary is all good, then there's
that's it, and that's fine. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that's even better.
That's the most
Yeah.
beautiful thing that could happen
Yeah.
to, because man, imagine like some regular dude that doesn't know no drama, doesn't know weed beef. He just knows weed is a magical plant that gets him high,
Yeah,
and then he doesn't know it has all this baggage.
that's right. He doesn't have the. Well, he's not caught up in the lore.
He doesn't need
Yeah,
to.
he doesn't need
He
it.
doesn't know. When you eat that banana, you don't know all the banana wars that happen.
Yeah, there were banana wars.
I bet there
Yeah,
were.
there
bro.
were. Yeah,
I bet there were.
Oh man.
Man, the weed, all the meme wars that happened after a bunch of these strains, people getting beat up for
I
strains.
know. Fucking ice cream trucks getting tossed over. Whatever.
It's crazy, yo. That's crazy, man.
Oh.
Man, that's all bad. I know exactly.
That's why I sometimes look at it, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Man,
you know?
trust me. Sometimes I just gotta play my part and keep it low keys and
Yeah.
let it all unravel by itself. How do you stay updated with the constantly changing regulations and innovations that are happening in your field?
It's just a part of my daily conversation with everyone that I work with, and uh, there's like, I don't know, maybe a group of like 6 to 10 people that I talk to on the regular, and we check in and we talk about what we're seeing, and they, we read the news a lot, listen to interviews, just shit I'm doing when I'm doing manual labor type work, whatever. I put this on. I'm always kind of catching up on things,
Yep.
and then all of it really matters because it. Uh, I mean, like, what do you think about? How do how do you think cannabis legalization is really going to happen with what we're looking at right now?
I think no matter what happens, I'm just gonna grow weed in my backyard.
Exactly. So it's not relevant, but
Yeah.
because you're an island with
Yeah.
what you're doing with cannabis and the plant. So but the thing is, not everyone is that way. So that can create a push and a pull.
I think people see like what money is there to be made, you know?
Of course,
And that's beautiful. Cool, go
Yeah,
get your
yeah,
money.
yeah,
But it's like,
yeah.
fuck, like all natural. You know, like if I'm gonna go
Yeah.
make money for weed, I'm gonna grow the best pot, I'm gonna sell it, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
what I think about cannabis legalization. If I'm selling consumables, I'm a seed maker, so I'm gonna go team up or go do my research on how do I sell seeds under the last law that
Yeah.
got set in stone for America as far as real legalization. And I'm gonna play my part, you know, just like any other civil fucking citizen. And if I can't play the part, I'm gonna try my hardest to play. And if they don't let me, I'm still gonna do what I do.
Well, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't exactly, and I don't think it matters either.
Yeah.
And that just
And you
shows,
can
like,
do certain things and have a life and a career and honor your character, morals, or whatever it is with how you make money in this space. It's just you have to be creative with it. But if you wanted to participate in kind of like whole idea of getting a grow and getting a dispensary and all that kind of stuff.
even worldwide, like shipping and all that shit, like it gets bigger and bigger, you know, like fuck, man, like that's big. Like imagine just letting that pass by me. That's selfish of me for my legacy, you know, like my kids and my grandkids is all like,
Yeah.
oh, like you got to put on your big boy shoes. Like all these
Well,
guys are.
why would you have a judgment on any possible opportunity
I
if you
wouldn't
don't understand it?
It's just I think at this point it's all like the ones that are in charge of those like licenses or like even money to like
Yeah.
put people in that position. You know, they're just kind of gonna help themselves and whatever they deem like. It's like the radio. Like, what songs are they gonna play? The ones that uplift everybody and make everyone smart, or the ones that keep you kind of like in your place?
I think it's it's just Diet Coke, man.
Yeah,
So
that's how I look at the game and who gets to play the game. And they play the game. They make it look real nice for everybody. And just like when you're driving down and you see a billboard and you're like, that looks nice. I want to be a part of that.
yeah,
And then there's like, it's just like art, you know.
I know.
It's like music.
You know how many fucking lawyer billboards are up here in LA now?
Yeah.
It's every other fucking billboard. Some Better Call Saul looking motherfucker
Yeah.
that's probably working out of a corner shop.
So that's how I look at weed
Yeah.
game culture and legalization. It's just like, fuck, like, where do I fit in? I fit in like real America where we all get to like in a perfect America, we all just have the same level ground, and
I
we
like
could,
that.
we could go buy our little rinky dink license online for $30 to sell our weed, and we could go to the farmer's market
Yeah.
and make a fucking name for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a perfect world to me.
I like that world too. I don't have any problem with it.
But then if you don't regulate, you got like, I'm gonna just say like big money that has nothing to do with the morals of America coming in and just like, oh, there's no laws. We'll buy up all this shit, throw down, grow all this weed, and we're like, who are these motherfuckers?
That's kind
China.
China.
No, but for real though, right?
No,
Like-
but that's just that's what like the point of having some regulations
Yeah.
are. But like, who's to say? So they write regulations. So there's an interesting court case coming up right now. I'm gonna game everybody up on the nerd stuff
yeah,
that
fuck
we were
yeah,
talking
that's what we
about.
want to hear.
Yeah. So, and I don't fully understand it, but apparently there's this. The Supreme Court is looking at regulations and how they're enforced in a different way across the board for all industries. So, like the last couple of days, a bunch of MSOs were able to get a ton of money back from the IRS. They like refiled and then readdressed and then got these big, like True Leaf got like a 1.7 something million dollar or 176 million back, some crazy number, whatever. And so we're already figuring out how to get around 280E. And most people don't know what 280E
I
is.
fucking have no idea what 280 is.
All right, this is important.
Let me
All
know.
right. So, do you want to hear the backstory of why it even exists?
Yeah, tell me
All
about
right.
280E.
So there was like some cartel dude that got busted in the 80s, and when they were trying to seize all of his assets, he wrote off seize all his cash. He wrote off all of his cash as a cost of business, and said, I'm like in debt. I don't have any money, because that was the business laws, because he had whatever, how they set it up. So they made this new law saying that if you're selling an illegal drug and you get caught or whatever, or something, some kind of contraband, the only thing you can write off is like if you bought a pound of whatever, you could only write off what you paid for the product, but you couldn't write off, this is so crazy, right? You couldn't write off all the other costs of business anymore. All right. So that then applied to the cannabis industry because it's federally illegal. So at the end of the line, the retail is not as profitable as it would be in any other normal retail store for any other product in the country.
Yeah.
Because you can write off. So if a dispensary buys a pound for $1,000, they can write that off. But then the cost to sell the pound, they cannot write off.
Yeah.
So you're trying to get your profit margin around 40% if you're a small business. You're not there. You're like 15, 20% at best. And that's if nothing's going wrong. And now, because there isn't that kind of money to keep the things going, a lot of things go wrong. So the 280E, which could possibly shift, right, would allow these retail locations to be a little bit better off, which might help it or might hurt it. And so that most people think if you've got a bunch of dispensaries, you're making a ton of money. It's really only if you have a dispensary and you're fully vertical within the cultivation, because there's some ways to kind of spread out the tax burden and then write off so if you have a grow, I can write off all of my costs of production.
All right.
But you can't if you're retail.
All right.
And so if that shifting opens up retail, gives them a little bit more of a chance to survive.
All right. Well, fucking, they got a whole lot of money. $178 million, you said, truly?
Something, don't quote me on that.
That's a lot of money,
but
man.
we have to look it up, like 71 maybe.
God damn,
something
man.
like that.
And this is
a
a
significant
weed,
amount of money.
And these are weed companies sitting down with the Supreme Court talking about money. And meanwhile,
no, they're getting in on something that's happening in the Supreme Court around the fishing industry and the fishing regulations. And the way that the fishing industry is regulated is similar to the way the cannabis industry is related. So where the path of that is going is looking like there's going to be less regulations in the same way that applies to the fishing industry. So then this would allow these cannabis companies to then start making moves and changes based on
doubt.
Yeah. So the cannabis industry is always like trying to move 2 steps ahead of where it should be.
Like,
so it's a little bit of that going
watch the fish guys, we're gonna figure this one out,
Well, it's a big thing because we have a Supreme Court that's, really put together by Trump. So it's created a completely different perspective on things. And in some ways it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we do need to look at like the reason why the regulations don't work in cannabis is because the people that wrote them don't understand cannabis at all, any bit, any part of it.
I think there's a big barrier, just government class, like, what do you mean Trump Supreme Court? Like, the president gets to elect the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
So
a lot that we had some deaths during Trump's presidency, and then there was replacements needed. And so he got, during his presidency, he was able to kind of stack the deck in the favor of his worldview, or whoever was paying him his worldview, to whatever,
It gets deep.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just saying that has changed things because they've aimed to cut regulations on things. It's really, they just need to look at it the right way, and they need to talk to people that are in the industry that have some relative integrity to the process, and figure out something that actually makes sense. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
What types of clients do you usually work with, and what are their most common needs?
Mostly small businesses now. And I stopped consulting for a little bit.
What were their needs?
But the bigger, what were their needs? Yeah. So it's basically like drawing up a layout, figuring out the space they're using, trying to figure out what their goals are, and then trying to design a facility that's going to meet that and consumer value.
No doubt.
you know. So
No
that's what it is. And then talking them through all the application stuff, like understand on all the regulations.
No
Yep.
doubt. Fucking regulations.
Yep.
Can you tell us about one bad apple? Just can you walk us through
Wait, no, read it. Ask it. Ask it. Ask it. I'm game. Let me hear it.
What are your key steps when you're like
Alright.
consulting somebody?
Um.
You don't have a book you go to?
No, I'm stuck on that last question. I'm like, there's one guy.
Oh, just fucking
Yeah. Because it's a crazy fucking story.
We all know that one guy.
Yeah.
Oh man, fucking A, man. Cannabis consulting.
What was the question?
Nah, just you
Just
know,
like the parts of the process. Like,
yeah, fucking. It's getting a little, fucking. All right.
redundant.
Yeah, it is very much so.
All right.
I don't want to keep asking, but I did get all I could on that. I had some people ask me like fan questions. You have a
All
bunch of fans apparently.
Oh, that's
They're
cool.
all in my
Thanks,
life.
guys.
Somebody wants to know, what is THCA?
THCA.
What is THCA? That's what they want
It's
to
a
know.
cannabinoid.
It's a cannabinoid?
Yeah.
Why do you think he asked that?
Because people are selling THCA flower.
How does that work? Tell me about it.
You want
I
me
have
to?
no idea myself. I want to know.
All right. Well, I'll tell everybody how you do it.
Tell us about this whole THCA. I think it's a loophole too. What is it? Tell us, because I think you know all about it. Because I don't.
I know. I don't know. I don't know all about it.
I
know
hear
a little
about
bit
it, but I think you might have way more insight than me just hearing about it.
So it's just basically like it's cannabis that's grown to a point. It's like any other weed, like when you see like the THCA flower version of Gary Payton, it's because it's just Gary Payton.
That's crazy.
Where it came from, I don't know, and I'm not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But somehow it got into the hemp program through testing and applying, or a hemp license, like that would be the process, or they either grew it or whatever. I don't know. But they're just testing it at the point where the THCA hasn't decarbed or heated up or degraded into Delta 9.
They're just plain stupid.
Yeah, because basically the only difference between hemp and cannabis is the potential of one cannabinoid.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay. And the guy that decided that potential was some chode from Canada. Sorry, I don't remember your name. I don't know who you are, but Canada adopted 0.3 as that limit. And then the US was like, well, we got to put something in here.
That's crazy.
So there was no thought that went into it. And so then realistically, like hemp is going to test a little bit hot, but a 1%er, that's not getting anybody high. Like there's this real weird understanding that you can still extract all that THC from all these mountains of hemps and put it into an oil. It's still there once it's concentrated. So none of it's really even thought through. So it's kind of crazy.
That's a
That
big
fucking
ass fly.
big horse fly motherfucker.
You seen that motherfucker?
Yeah.
He's like this big.
Yeah.
Where'd he come
Fucking-
from?
I know.
That's a huge ass motherfucker. That's special effects, everybody. So THCA is like, it's just
It's just weed.
they're just playing the game.
Well, yeah, because there's some ambiguity in the language of the regulation, and that's only because the people that wrote the regulation, it still doesn't allow it, but the way that it's interpreted by people in the industry, they've convinced people that it is possibly allowed.
And they're just fucking running it up to the
oh,
bank.
they're crushing.
That's crazy, man.
People are. I looked into it, and I'm not talking about anybody particular, but like some of these guys are making like over $1 million a month into a small business, a small internet business.
Man, like when does it stop? Like you get your million and you just, let's say you fucking, all right, like it seems too hot.
Most of the people that are willing to take the chances like that have like got their eyes on the shiny object.
They usually crush it too. They're usually the guinea pigs and shit,
No. I'm going to tell you that's not actually the case. That's just what's romanticized.
They're guinea pigs,
Most people don't crush it.
They're crushing it.
Yeah, most people don't crush it.
I think they're crushing it.